The stomach cramps hit me in the middle of the night. We were out of Tums, so my girlfriend Chloe went out to grab some for me. An hour passed, then another. She still wasn't back. I called her. Chloe, did you get the medicine? What's taking so long? Liam, Ethan's not feeling well either, she said, her voice strained. I can't just leave him by himself. All the 24-hour pharmacies are closed around here. Can you just tough it out? I'll bring you something tomorrow, she added. My breath caught in my throat. So, you're saying you're not coming home tonight? Her voice sharpened with impatience. I told you I have to take care of Ethan. You need to be more understanding. Okay, just go to sleep. She hung up before I could reply. A wave of despair washed over me, so immense it felt like it was drowning me. I stared blankly at the ceiling. The pain in my gut was a sharp, twisting knot, but the ache in my chest was 1,000 times worse. My girlfriend, Chloe Scott, was the undisputed queen of our college campus. I chased her for 3 solid years, showering her with gifts for every conceivable occasion. I even got her a giant gift basket for Valentine's Day one year. She accepted everything, but never said yes. It wasn't until after graduation that things changed. The one that got away, Ethan, had moved abroad. At the same time, Chloe's mother got seriously ill, and they were scrambling for money. I transferred $25,000 to her account. No questions asked. That's when we finally got together. The move infuriated my mother. She reminded me that the Chun family and the Clark family had a long-standing agreement, and my actions were a slap in her face. Besides, she said Chloe Scott was clearly not the kind of woman who would ever settle down. I had a huge fight with my mom over it. The Chuns have always believed in teaching their sons the value of $1. So, my monthly allowance was modest. No one in college knew I was the heir to Chinorp Global. The 25 grand I gave Chloe was my life savings scraped together from years of allowances and summer jobs. In the end, my mother gave me an ultimatum: 3 years. Chloe and I would both work at Apex Solutions, a Chin Corp subsidiary in Chicago. For those 3 years, I was forbidden from revealing my identity. If at the end of that time, Chloe was still devoted to me, my mother would approve our marriage. If not, I would have to honor our family's commitment and marry Zoe Clark. Now, with only 1 month left on the clock, Chloe had already been promoted to department manager. My performance had been better than hers from day one. But here, I was still a junior sales associate. I knew it was my mother pulling the strings, but I didn't care. I believed Chloe, and I would make it. We had even started planning the wedding for next month. Then, a week ago, Ethan Vance, her old flame, moved back from overseas. Overnight, Chloe transformed. She doted on Ethan, and, at the office, she started keeping a deliberate professional distance from me. He'd only been back a few days, but he was already a constant source of conflict between us. The worst fight ended with me flipping our dining table, sending plates and glasses crashing to the floor while she just stood there watching me with cold indifference. That was the night he returned. She didn't come home at all. I called her 100 times, no answer. I was frantic, calling friends on the verge of filing a missing persons report. When she finally showed up the next day, she didn't even offer an explanation. And last night, she stayed out again to take care of him. I didn't sleep a wink, just stared into the darkness as my heart sank lower and lower. When the sun came up, I opened my phone and saw a new post on my Facebook feed. It was from Ethan. He posted a picture of Chloe in a kitchen stirring a pot of oatmeal. She was beaming, a genuinely happy smile that made her glow. The caption read, "Woke up this morning, and for a second, I thought I'd lost you again, but here you are making me breakfast. I can't lose you twice. Hope I get to spend the rest of my life with you." In the nearly 3 years we'd been together, Chloe had never once cooked for me. I was always the one trying to impress her, experimenting with new recipes. Seeing that picture felt like a punch to the gut. I liked the post. Then I commented, "Congratulations. Hope you two are happy." When I got to the office, everyone was looking at me funny. "Looks like someone's finally realized he's punching way above his weight," sneered Kevin Riley, my office rival. We had a history of poaching each other's clients, and the animosity was thick. The princess is back with her prince. About time. Since Ethan's arrival, he and Kevin have become fast friends, the enemy of my enemy, and all that. Clearly, most of the office had seen Ethan's post. A few people snickered. I ignored Kevin and sat down at my desk. Just then, Ethan and Chloe walked in together. Chloe didn't even glance in my direction as she swept past and into her office. Kevin sauntered over to Ethan's desk. "Vance, you magnificent bastard," he said with a grin. "You've been here a week, and you've already won back our manager. You're a legend." Others chimed in. "Seriously, man, what's your secret?" "He's lived abroad. He's handsome, and he's loaded. Not exactly competing with some random guy from sales." You didn't think Chloe was blind, did you?" "Yeah, if I were her, I'd pick Ethan, too." Ethan soaked it all in, a smug look on his face. He shot a triumphant glare in my direction. "Hey guys, don't spread rumors. I just wasn't feeling well last night, and Chloe was nice enough to look after me. That's all. We don't want to certain someone getting the wrong idea." Just then, Zoe Clark leaned over my cubicle wall, her dark eyes sparkling. "You want to go ask Chloe what really happened last night? We're total besties now. You know, I can get all the details." I turned to look at her. Her skin had a peachy glow, and when she smiled, 2 faint dimples appeared. Today, she was wearing a pink blouse, an apple green miniskirt, white knee-high socks, and pink loafers. She looked impossibly sweet. Zoe and I grew up together. We were practically joined at the hip. My mom had wanted us to get married right after college, but back then, I only had eyes for Chloe. I refused. Zoe got so sick from the heartbreak, she ended up in the hospital. Then, about a year ago, for reasons I couldn't figure out, she'd shown up at Apex Solutions as my new co-worker. Her arrival caused a stir. Everyone knew she was an heiress to the Clark fortune, and she was, by any objective measure, even more beautiful than Chloe. She was incredibly popular, and it wasn't long before she was friends with everyone, especially Chloe, becoming her inseparable confidant. "No, thanks," I said coldly. Zoe pouted, her lips forming a perfect little bow. "Fine. No good deed goes unpunished." Just then, Chloe emerged from her office. "Liam, can I see you for a minute?" she said, her tone flat. I followed her in, my face a thundercloud, and shut the door behind me. "What is wrong with you?" she demanded. "Why would you leave a comment like that?" I laughed a cold, bitter sound. "It means exactly what it says. Does Manager Scott need me to spell out for her?" "Liam, Ethan was sick. I just took care of him for one night. Don't read too much into it." "I was sick last night, too," I shot back. "You said you were going to give me medicine. Where is it?" She was silent. Seeing her stand there without an answer was a fresh stab of disappointment. After a moment, she said, "I admit I wasn't thinking about your feelings. But Ethan just started here. Isn't it natural for me to help him get settled?" I couldn't listen to any more of it. I turned to leave. "Wait," she called out. "Liam, you could drop the Northridge account. I'm going to handle it myself. I'm flying out to close the deal in the next couple of days." I stopped. "Are you going alone?" She hesitated for a beat. "No, I'm taking Ethan with me." Rage flared in my chest. "Are you kidding me, Chloe? I've been nurturing that account for months. Now you're just going to hand it to him when the deal closes. Does the commission go on my paycheck or his?" She looked annoyed. "Well, you've been on it for months, and you still haven't closed it, have you?" Her expression softened slightly when she saw my face. "Liam, just do this for me. Ethan's new. He needs a win, or people will talk." She delivered the final blow. "Besides, you've been here for almost 3 years, and you're still a junior associate. You need to learn to give the new guys a chance to shine." I stared at her disbelievingly. I felt like I was looking at a complete stranger. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. "And what if I say no?" Her patience snapped. Her face hardened. "Liam, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, if you keep being so difficult, you're going to make me really angry." In the past, the threat was all it took. The moment she said she was angry, I'd fold. But not this time. I said nothing. My face so grim, I felt like it was carved from stone. Under her stunned gaze, I turned and slammed the door on my way out. Ever since Ethan returned, I'd seen a new side of Chloe. Cold, ruthless, and completely unreasonable. 1 month left, I was morbidly curious to see what else she was capable of. I walked straight from her office to the office of the subsidiary president, Walter Reed, and knocked firmly. A muffled, annoyed voice came from within. "1 minute." I pressed my ear to the door and heard faint whispers. "I don't know who the hell that is. Knocking this early. a man's voice grumbled. Talk about a buzzkill. A woman's sultry voice purred back. Walter, you're always in such a hurry. Didn't you get enough of me at the hotel last week? I recognized the voice instantly. It was Yvonne, the president's executive assistant, a voluptuous woman who knew exactly how to use her assets. Walter let out a loud chuckle. The hotel isn't as thrilling as the office, my dear. Now, be a good girl and go see who it is. I'll call you back in later. You're terrible, she cooed. I heard footsteps and straightened up just as Yvonne opened the door. When she saw it was me, she shot me a look that said, "You're on your own, pal." I knew I'd interrupted something, and Walter would be in no mood to see me. I didn't care. I strode in. Years ago, client poaching had become so rampant, it was poisoning the office culture. Management finally wrote a strict non-compete clause into the company handbook. Violations meant a hefty fine or immediate termination. After I laid out the situation, Walter looked up from his desk, a smirk playing on his lips. "So, you're saying Mr. Vance is stealing your client? Isn't it obvious?" I said calmly. He slowly picked up his teacup, took a sip, and set it down. His face was a mask, his mind clearly weighing the options. A moment later, his expression settled. He had made his decision. He glared at me. "From what you've told me, it sounds like you were incapable of closing the deal." And Manager Scott stepped in to save the account for the company. As for Mr. Vance, he's a rookie. There's nothing wrong with a manager taking him on a business trip for training. Is there anything else? If not, get back to work. The company pays you to generate profit, not to start turf wars. I knew it was pointless to argue. I turned and left. The truth was, I could have closed the Northridge account weeks ago. We'd already agreed on the terms. All that was left was to fly out and sign the papers. But since Ethan's return, Chloe's complete 180 had sent me into a spiral. I couldn't find a motivation to focus on work. Going to Walter was just a test to see where he stood. The bastard. Not only was he a philanderer, but he also treated company policy like it was optional. No wonder Apex Solutions numbers were in the toilet under his leadership. It was time to talk to my mother. I found an empty conference room and called her, explaining everything about Walter. Her reply was a terse, "I see." But I knew she'd heard me. As the CEO of Chan Corp Global, she didn't let things slide. True to form, she would launch a discreet investigation. It wouldn't be long before she made her move. In the end, Chloe left on the business trip with Ethan. At the office, the looks I got were a mixture of pity, mockery, and outright glee. At the end of the day, Zoe grabbed my arm as I was packing up. "Nope, you're not going home. I'm taking you out for drinks. We're going to drown your sorrows. You know I'm older than you, right?" I said, Details. Don't sweat the small stuff. Come on, big sister's treating you to a night on the town." She dragged me out to her Maserati. As I settled in the passenger seat, I heard Kevin Riley muttering to a co-worker as they walked past. "Jesus, Chloe's barely out the door, and he's already sucking up to the Clark Aries. God, what a leech." Zoe took me to a low-key, speakeasy-style lounge. It was still early, so the place was mostly empty, but Zoe, with her radiant looks, still turned heads. We found a secluded booth in the back. After a few rounds, Zoe was starting to get tipsy, a faint blush creeping up her cheeks that made her look even more beautiful. "Liam," she said, leaning in, "you want to bet that even if nothing happened between them that first night, something will on this trip? A few days alone out of town, the things that are supposed to happen and the things that aren't are definitely going to happen." I was starting to suspect she'd brought me here just to torment me. Women really do hold grudges. I didn't say anything, just grimly downed 3 shots of whiskey. Zoe sighed. "You know, even if Ethan hadn't come back, I don't think you and Chloe would have made it another month." My hand holding the glass paused. "What?" Chloe told me herself. She said, "You've been stuck as a junior associate for almost 3 years." She said she couldn't see a future with you. I fell silent. Zoe's eyes twinkled mischievously. "And do you know why? Even though your sales numbers were better than hers, my aunt promoted her instead of you." I took a swig of my drink. "To break us up, obviously." Zoe giggled. "And Eleanor says that when a woman is more successful than her man, one of 2 things will happen. Either she'll start to look down on him, or she'll find another man who's more successful than he is." My mother, the woman, was a master strategist. You don't think Ethan is more successful than me, do you? I scoffed. Zoe shook her head. He can't hold a candle to you. The fact that you've toughened it out at the bottom for 3 years without once complaining to Aunt Eleanor shows more character than Ethan could dream of. The problem is Chloe can't see that. And Ethan is much better at putting on a show. What do you mean? You're the real deal. Forced to play poor, she said, her eyes fixed on mine. Ethan is the one who's actually poor, pretending to be a trust fund kid. I stared at her. You investigated it? She didn't answer directly, which was an answer in itself. Ethan's parents own a small diner overseas, she explained, her voice dripping with disdain. He spent the last 3 years working in their kitchen. All those pictures on his feed, the helicopter rides, the yacht parties, they're fakes or group deals. I was stunned. Then I asked the question that had been buried deep inside me. Was my mom behind Ethan coming to Apex? Zoe paused, then shook her head. As far as I know, no. His parents' diner went bankrupt. He couldn't make it on his own over there, so he had no choice but to come back. A quiet sense of relief washed over me. If my mother had orchestrated it, I wouldn't have known whether to thank her or hate her. When a woman gets drunk, she usually does one of 3 things. The most common is passing out cold. The second is going wild, shouting, screaming, maybe even taking her clothes off. The third is crying. Zoe was the third type. After a few more drinks, she just started weeping. It was a raw, heart-wrenching sob, a dramatic performance that completely shattered her usual sweet demeanor. Between sobs, she loudly accused me of being a scumbag, a heartbreaker, a good-for-nothing cheat. By now, the bar was filling up, and dozens of people were staring at me. I was so embarrassed. I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. I had no choice but to call an Uber and get her home. 3 days later, Chloe and Ethan returned, flushed with victory. The contract, which had been a done deal, was now spun into a heroic tale of last-minute negotiations. Chloe claimed it was Ethan's powerful business acumen that saved the day, giving him full credit for the $3 million account. That night at the celebratory dinner, the alcohol flowed freely, egged on by instigators like Kevin, Riley, Chloe, and Ethan, the heroes of the hour, who were pressured into a toast. Ethan wrapped his arm around Chloe's slim waist. As soon as they finished their drinks, the crowd started chanting, "Kiss, kiss, kiss," a chorus of voices punctuated by mocking glances in my direction. Just as their lips were about to touch, Chloe's best friend, Zoe, couldn't take it anymore. She stood up. "Chloe, that's enough. Liam is still here." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me. To everyone's surprise, my face was calm. There wasn't a trace of anger. Instead, I just looked confused. Why is everyone looking at me? Please continue. Chloe looked startled, but gently pushed Ethan away. "Don't get the wrong idea," she said, looking at me. "I just had a little too much to drink." I nodded in understanding. "It's just a vibe, right? No big deal. You guys getting a room later?" In the 3 days they were gone, Chloe hadn't called me once. She hadn't sent a single text. I was completely disillusioned. If they actually did get a room together, I wouldn't have been surprised in the slightest. She couldn't have missed the sarcasm in my voice. Her face darkened. "Liam, it was a joke. Do you have to be like that? If something was going to happen between Ethan and me, it would have already happened on the trip," she snapped. "Can you stop being so petty?" Ethan chimed in. "Yeah, Liam was just kidding, right? He's bigger than that." The old me would have exploded, demanding an explanation or throwing a drink at her face. But now I realized I just didn't care that much anymore. I didn't say anything, just gave a slight nod. The party atmosphere slowly returned. For the rest of the dinner, Chloe and Ethan were lost in their own world, whispering and laughing like a couple deep in a honeymoon phase. Halfway through the meal, before all the courses had even been served, I stood up. "Well, I'm full. You guys have fun. I'm heading home. Got work tomorrow." I wiped my mouth with a napkin, grabbed my phone and wallet from the table, and walked out of the private dining room. Everyone stared after me in shock. I heard Kevin whisper, "What a petty little man. Can't even take a joke." I didn't have the energy to care. I sat down on the curb outside the restaurant and lit a cigarette. A moment later, Zoe came out and, with a distinct lack of grace, sat down beside me. I took a long drag. You know, Zoe, I said, my voice quiet. I used to be so obsessed with her. If she wasn't with me, I'd constantly wonder where she was, what she was doing, if she was happy, if she'd eaten what she was talking about, who she was with. I never posted on social media, but I told her everything, the good, the bad. I'd send her pictures of sunsets I thought were beautiful, food that looked amazing, cute dogs I saw on the street. Every single night, I'd text her good night, I love you. I did that for years, you know. I'd send her a dozen messages and get one back. I'd write her a novel, and she'd reply with an emoji. I invested so much in this relationship. I guess I was never going to be the one who won. Zoe, I think I'm just tired. I realize I don't care about her that much anymore. I turned to her. Zoe, give me a little more time. Within the month, I'm going to make a clean break with Chloe. If you still like me, then let's get married. Of course, if you've changed your mind, just forget I said anything. Zoe listened silently, her eyes filling with tears. When I finished, she nodded in a single forceful motion. Okay. That year I was 26. Zoe was 24. Back at our apartment, I walked to the master bedroom door, but stopped before opening it. Since Ethan had come back, Chloe and I had only been intimate once. A hurried, passionless affair she'd rushed through with obvious impatience. I looked at the king-size bed and thought about her and Ethan, about what might have already happened. I couldn't sleep in that bed with her again. I quietly backed away and went into the guest room. Around midnight, I heard the front door open, followed by the clumsy clatter of high heels. I knew without looking that Chloe was home, drunk as usual. Ever since her promotion, the client dinners had become more frequent. No matter how late she got in, I was always there waiting to take care of her, washing her face, taking off her shoes, making her my special hangover cure tea. Liam, she called out. When I didn't answer, her voice grew louder. Where's my tea? After a few minutes, I heard the master bedroom door open. A little while later, the door to the guest room creaked open. She must have sensed something was wrong. She didn't call for me again. I could feel her standing there in the doorway for a long time before she silently closed the door. The next morning, I was already dressed and heading for the door when she got up. Unsurprisingly, there was no loving breakfast waiting for her. I used to always have her favorite corn on the cob and a glass of milk ready before she even woke up. Today, there was nothing. As I was about to leave, she spoke. Liam, nothing happened with Ethan on the trip. I swear. I paused, turned to look at her. I know, I said calmly. Ethan invited me out tonight, she added. I'm going to be late. The last flicker of light in my eyes dimmed. Okay. A strange anger flared in her. Aren't you going to ask me why he invited me? Why aren't you telling me not to go like you always do? My eyes were full of ridicule. What's the point? Without another word, I walked out. As I turned, I saw the look of utter shock on her face. Late that afternoon, she sent me a rare text message. Ethan's been staying in a hotel. I found him an apartment near the office. I'll be home after I help him get settled. I turned off my phone without replying. That night, she didn't come home again. But this time, I didn't frantically call her phone all night. This time, I slept soundly, peacefully. It was as if I had finally truly let her go. The next morning at the office, I received a photo from Ethan. In the picture, he and Chloe were lying in a bed together. She was covering her face with her hands, but I recognized the crystal bracelet on her wrist. I had given it to her. He only would have lost his mind seeing a picture like that. Now, a pang of sadness lasted less than a minute before I was calm again. It hit me then. I really didn't love her anymore. I forwarded the picture to Chloe with a simple message. We're breaking up. 15 minutes later, she burst into the office, her eyes wild with panic. Liam, let me explain. We were so tired after moving his stuff last night. I just lay down for a second and fell asleep. Nothing happened. I push him away. I swear. Does that have anything to do with me? I already told you we're done. You don't need to explain your life to me anymore. Chloe stood there completely frozen. Then her shock turned to fury. Liam, I already explained. What more do you want? Can you stop being so dramatic? You're making me really angry. It used to be her trump card. The moment she said she was angry, I would back down and comfort her. Not this time. I looked at her coldly. Chloe, it's over. Let's just end this with some dignity for both our sakes. Our coworkers were staring, mouths agape. They had all seen this coming, but none of them expected me to be the one to pull the trigger. The only two people in the room who looked pleased were Ethan and Zoe. Chloe's face flushed red, then went pale as she felt the eyes of the entire office on her. "You just wait," she hissed before storming back in her office, her face a mask of rage. That night, I moved out of the apartment and into Clearwater Villa, a house my mother had given me as a graduation present. I'd rarely stayed there over the years. I sent Chloe one last text. "You have 1 month to find your own place. I'm putting the apartment on the market after that. I plan to list it below market value. It should sell quickly." Immediately after I sent it, my phone started blowing up with her calls. I didn't answer a single one. Next, I called my mom and told her I was ready to honor the agreement with the Clark family. She was so happy. She was practically giddy. The Chins and the Clarks would handle the wedding arrangements, leaving Zoe and me free of the stress. Zoe and I had grown up together, innocent childhood friends with a deep bond. We used to have sleepovers all the time until our parents decided we were too old for that. While I chose Chloe, Zoe had been devastated. I knew now that the only reason she came to work at Apex was for me. After everything that had happened, I suddenly saw with perfect clarity that Zoe was 1,000 times better than Chloe. I had broken her heart once. I would never let that happen again. Over the next month, Zoe was like a different person, even brighter and sweeter than before. She brought me lunch, followed me around the office like a happy puppy, and shared every little detail of her day with me. I basked in her affection, never once feeling annoyed by it. Only a deep sense of love and a desire to protect her. On weekends, we went to the movies, walked in the park, and tried every new restaurant we could find. Our relationship deepened at a dizzying pace. For the first time, I understood what it felt like to be in a love that was a two-way street. During that month, the way people at the office looked at me changed again. They whispered behind my back, calling me a gold digger and a scumbag. How could I break up with Chloe and immediately get so close to her best friend, the Clark Aries? What a piece of work. In the first few days after the breakup, Ethan had looked at me with smug satisfaction. But as he watched Zoe, prettier and sweeter than Chloe, fawn over me day after day, his expression soured from triumph to venomous resentment. Chloe, forced to watch her supposed best friend clinging to me, was consumed by jealousy. She walked around with a perpetual scowl. Zoe told me Chloe had cornered her several times to argue. One time, she even got on her knees, crying and begging Zoe to leave me. That was the end of their friendship. One day, Chloe called me in her office. "Liam, are you out of your mind? Are you only getting close to my best friend to make me jealous?" I was so tired of her incessant calls and drama. "Chloe, are you sick?" I shot back. "Zoe is my fiancée. We're getting married soon." Chloe's face went white. "No," she stammered, her voice frantic. "Liam, I know you're lying. You're just trying to get a reaction out of me, right? I know you still love me." Before I could speak, she rushed on. "Nothing is going on with Ethan. You have to believe me. Do you know what today is? It's our 3-year anniversary. Look, I got you a present. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I ignored your feelings. Please just forgive me this one time. Let's get back together." She pulled out an expensive-looking watch and tried to fasten on my wrist. I yanked my arm away. Her sudden reversal was bizarre. "Why don't you give that to your precious Ethan?" I said coldly. "Stop wasting your time." Her face twisted in a snarl. "No, it's always been you. I swear Ethan is a liar. He's not some trust fund kid. If he hadn't gotten drunk and let it slip, I'd still be in the dark. He's a total fraud. You said you wanted to marry me, right?" she pleaded. "I'm saying yes now. Let's get married." So that was it. She found out Ethan was a nobody and came running back to me. My disappointment in her deepened into a thick, syrupy disgust. How had I ever fallen for this person? I looked at her, my voice flat. "We're over, and I'm marrying Zoe very soon. Don't keep this up. Don't make me lose the last ounce of respect I have for you." I turned and walked away. As I did, I saw her eyes fill with pure hatred. I hadn't been back at my desk for 10 minutes when Chloe stepped out of her office. She told everyone to stop what they were doing. She had an announcement. What came next made my blood boil. "I have a quick announcement to make," she said, her voice sharp and loud. Given Liam Chin's failure to close the $5 million Southgate Gardens account, and in light of Ethan Vance's recent success in securing the $3 million Northridge contract, the company has decided to reward Mr. Vance by reassigning the Southgate Gardens project to him. Liam, I need you to transfer all relevant files to Ethan immediately. The office erupted. Everyone could see this for what it was, a blatant act of revenge. I could feel their pitying stares. Ethan, meanwhile, looked like he just won the lottery. My fist clenched. This was a public declaration of war. She knew perfectly well that I had already reached a preliminary agreement with the client. Handing it to Ethan now was basically letting him waltz in and collect the prize. It was no different from theft. And if she got away with this, it would throw the whole office back into the toxic dog-eat-dog culture of deal poaching we had worked so hard to escape. I let her have the last one. But this time I wasn't backing down. I shot to my feet. Manager Scott, what is the meaning of this? I've already established a verbal commitment with that client. Are you really going to just hand it over to someone else? Do you have any shame at all? Chloe's voice was cold as ice. You said the same thing about the Northridge account, and in the end, it was Ethan who closed it. The company can't afford to let a project of this magnitude fall through because of your incompetence. Kevin Riley piped up from his desk. Wow, can't close a deal himself and won't let anyone else try. Pathetic. I ignored him. My eyes locked on Chloe. You have a nerve to bring that up. I had a signed letter of intent for Northridge, and the whole office knows it. Company policy explicitly states that no one can poach a deal unless the primary associate formally abandons it. It's grounds for fines or termination. Is Manager Scott now openly encouraging violations of the company code of conduct? My accusation hit its mark. Chloe's face changed. Her voice was a little weaker when she replied, Liam, don't make a scene. I told you this is a company decision. I am not negotiating with you. I am informing you. Are you going to openly defy a management directive? I laughed, a sound full of rage. A company decision or your decision? You, Chloe Scott, do not speak for this company. The entire office stared at me in stunned silence. Even though she was my ex-girlfriend, she was still my boss. No one could believe I was publicly challenging her. A few people exchanged sad looks, as if mourning the couple we used to be, now turned into bitter enemies. Chloe was shaking with anger, her finger trembling as she pointed at me. If you want to keep working at Apex Solutions, you will obey. Otherwise, you can get the hell out. I had never been more disappointed in her. I sneered. You're just a department manager. Who do you think you are? You think you can fire whoever you want. She was so furious, sputtering, unable to form a coherent sentence. Just then, Walter Reed strolled out of his office, a smug look on his face. What if I tell you to get out? He said coolly. His appearance silenced the entire room. Everyone looked at me as if I were a dead man walking. The president had spoken. Who could save me now? Chloe, Ethan, and Kevin were beaming with triumph. Only Zoe seemed oblivious, tapping away at her phone and muttering, Come on, Eleanor, where are you? I hadn't even gone after Walter, and here he was coming after me. Fine. If he wanted to fight, I wouldn't give him an inch of ground. I ignored the stares and looked straight at him with a grin. Mr. Reed, taking a break from playing games with your secretary to meddle in the sales department? A collective gasp went through the office. Everyone knew Walter was a womanizer, but no one had ever dared say it to his face. They all thought I'd lost my mind. Even Chloe stared at me, her mouth hanging open in disbelief. You arrogant little punk, Walter roared, his composure gone. How dare you slander me? You clearly have a death wish. My position in this corporation is not something you can challenge. You think knowing a few rumors makes you powerful? I can have you packing your desk before you can even blink. His face was red, a vein throbbing in his forehead as he pointed a shaking finger at me. I stood my ground. I think the one who should be packing is you, I said, my voice ringing through the silent office. Not only are you a disgrace, but you openly disregard company regulations. Apex Solutions is failing because of incompetent sleazebags like you. Everyone looked at me as if seeing me for the first time. For years, I've been quiet, mild-mannered Liam. They never imagined I had this in me. Walter completely lost control. Security, he screamed. Security, where are you? Get this man out of my building. Just as two security guards started towards me, a sharp, commanding voice cut through the air. I'd like to see you try and touch my son, Liam Chun. All heads snapped towards the entrance. Standing there was Eleanor Chun, CEO of Chinorp Global and chairwoman of Apex Solutions. She was flanked by a dozen senior executives from the parent company and 2 police officers. Though their numbers were few, they carried the presence of an army. The office was in shock. What? The chairwoman said Liam is her son? That's impossible. The triumphant looks on the faces of Ethan and Kevin turned to ash. Chloe's mind went completely blank. No, she whispered. It can't be. Walter was incredulous. But chairwoman, you told me multiple times not to promote him. How could he be your son? Zoe bounced over to my mother's side and linked her arm through hers. And Eleanor, if you were any later, who knows what they would have done to Liam? She pouted. My mother patted Zoe's hand, her eyes full of affection. I think my timing was just right, don't you? I smiled and walked over, taking my mother's other arm. Mom, she nodded, her expression softening. You've been through a lot. Walter finally snapped out of shock. Chairwoman, I swear. I had no idea Liam was your son, he pleaded, his face a mask of terror. If I had known, I wouldn't have dared, even if you gave me 100 times the courage. My mother looked at him, her disappointment palpable. Walter, I trusted you with Apex. For years, I let you run it without interference. But look what's happened. The company's performance has plummeted, and I can almost forgive that. But you've turned this office into a cesspool of corruption and sleaze, not to mention the misappropriation of company funds. I gave you my full confidence, and this is how you repay me. No, chairwoman, it's not true, he cried. I'm being framed. My mother cut him off and turned to the officers behind her. Gentlemen, I've already provided you with the evidence of Mr. Reed's embezzlement. He is all yours. Please conduct a thorough investigation. The officers nodded, stepped forward, and slapped handcuffs on Walter. As I led him away, he started screaming. Chairwoman, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Chairwoman. So that's what she'd been doing. Not only had she investigated him, but she'd uncovered something far worse. The fool. My mother then walked over to Chloe. Her voice was low and heavy. My son was with you for years. He valued you more than anyone, even me. And look at what you've done to him. It breaks my heart to see it. For Liam's sake, I won't make a scene. Just resign quietly. Chloe was frantic. She rushed forward and grabbed my sleeve. Liam, I was wrong. I really was. Please, just give me one more chance. Liam, I still love you. My mother's eyes flashed with disgust. I pulled my arm away from her grasp and said one word. Get out. Later, after Zoe exposed him, everyone learned the truth about Ethan faking his wealth. Chloe, Ethan, Kevin, and Walter's assistant, Yvonne, all resigned. My mother brought in a new president for Apex Solutions, a sharp executive named Susan May. I was appointed as her executive assistant. Susan was wonderful to me, treating me like a younger brother. My mother's plan was for her to mentor me for 2 years, after which I would officially take over as president of Apex. A week later, Zoe and I had a magnificent wedding. Our life together was blissful, and in time, we had a son and a daughter. As for Chloe, I heard she moved back to her hometown after leaving the company and quickly married some older guy with a bit of money. But not long after, the man's business failed and he went bankrupt. He spent his days drinking and beating her. One night, unable to take it anymore, Chloe snapped. She stabbed him to death in his sleep for the crime of intentional homicide.